I thank the chair and welcome our four expert witnesses. I'll open with an observation. Much has been said about Stanford and Harvard. Those are great, great schools to be sure. But as a graduate of Rice University in Houston, Texas, we call those schools the Rice of the West Coast and the Rice of the East Coast. And that's just the way it is. My first question for you, Dr. Shin and Dr. Lewis. As a former naval aviator, I have a great interest in the low-boom flight demonstration projects. As was mentioned by, I think, Dr. Epstein, we have not allowed supersonic flights over America since 1973. My district is home to Ellington Joint Reserve Base. As you all may know, last year, NASA test pilots flew modified F-18s out of Ellington to do some series of tests of low emission or low noise level sonic booms. It was called QSF-18. If possible, can you all update me on this project, especially if these test flights can help with supersonic travel in the future? Dr. Shin?
Yes, I want to say up front, many thanks to that community. And also we tested that low boom through the customized maneuver because we don't have a low boom supersonic airplane as yet. We're building it in collaboration with Lockheed Martin. But in the city of Galveston, we actually flew that F-18 that you mentioned, and with a tremendous support from Ellington and Johnson Space Center. And the community response has been actually very positive, that they actually liked being participated in that flight test, measuring the community response. So the best measure of success, in my view, is the city of Galveston asked us, NASA people, to please come back when you actually have X-59 completed and do this again in our community because this is exciting. And this is exciting because we are trying to help flying public, general flying public, not the rich people only, but flying public to enjoy the supersonic flight, commercial supersonic.
I'll pass those comments on to Mr. Weber because Galveston is in his district. As you mentioned too, they were so excited because for the first time ever, the Johnson Space Center participated in operations in the Earth's atmosphere, not in a vacuum of space. Dr. Lewis.
So I share, I think, a frustration that you alluded to that we are not flying at supersonic speeds today. It's been over 15 years since we had commercial supersonic travel in the U.S. And of course, you know, in the 1960s, the U.S. had its own plan to build a supersonic transport. NASA had a subsequent program in the 1990s. And yet we're still flying at about the same speed we flew in the 1950s. So I would love to see supersonic travel. Last month, I and some of my colleagues had the privilege of visiting NASA Armstrong and to climb on, look at the work that's being done in the X-59. And I have to tell you, it's absolutely phenomenal progress. It's a program that's basically getting NASA back into the flight test business. We got to fly the simulator. I got to crash the simulator, and I think it's going to be an important milestone, not in helping us reintroduce supersonic flight, but also getting NASA back into the flight test rhythm that is so critical to our industry.
Thank you. Final question for Dr. Shin, and this is about your testimony mentioned that there'll be excessive growth in aviation in the future and a shortage of pilots to fly these future aircraft. As you probably know, Ellington Field has been selected as a commercial spaceport. It's been approved. Their plan is for space tourism, basically follow the same profile that Alan Shepard followed on the first Mercury launch. Take off horizontally, go vertical, go into space for maybe 10, 15 minutes and come back and land. They're gonna need pilots. Our current aviation needs pilots. So how can NASA help recruit, develop, and train our future pilots, especially ones that are going into space?
Yes, whether we stay in the air or going to space, as we mentioned, the pilot shortage could become a real issue. So we've been working with our industry to bring more autonomy in the cockpit. I'm not suggesting that we are going to reduce the number of pilots in the cockpit, But by introducing safe and efficient and cost-effective autonomous systems on top of what we already have, could probably reduce the workload of the pilots, and pilots' roles could be changing in the future. So some of these measures need to be introduced with care, of course, but some of these measures need to be researched for the longer term. It's not a point solution, or it's not something that we want to just do it in a hurry. So that's what we are working with industry.
I'm out of time. I yield back. Thank you very much.